This is Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto is widely regarded as one of the most influential designers in video game history. Here are some of his games: Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, and Pikmin. Now, Miyamoto is a game designer, not a programmer, but he still has some tips that should help you even if you're not in video game development. He believes creators should focus on what's making the most unique experience, and not just graphics and power. You can read that as just make unique experiences. When he's asked how to become a skilled game developer, Miyamoto's default answer is, when the weather is good, you should go outside and play. A wealth of experience is indispensable for fostering creativity. This is great advice for a number of reasons, but exercise, relationships, and many other life skills can be learned outside. Computer programming can easily be picked up later in life, but you don't get that chance if you don't have the time you had when you were young. Creativity and problem solving is only learned when you don't have as many rules. Social skills and emotions don't come from scrolling social media all day. The best works of art are going to consider the feelings of the person interacting with them. What brings them joy? What's their goal? How do we make them as satisfied as possible? If you haven't had the real-world experience, all the skills in the world aren't going to help you meet someone where they're going to be happiest with your project. Pokemon is a great example of this. It was based on the joy of going outside and exploring on Satoshi Tajiri's home. It was based off his joy of finding and collecting bugs. It's a great example of how a masterpiece can be rooted in a human experience. Steve Jobs went through the same thing with Apple. When Steve Jobs formed Apple, it was his understanding of how people would want to interact with a computer. His partner Steve Wozniak knew the hardware and software side. Jobs knew people. Most users don't want to use the command line. They want to use a mouse and a keyboard, which was foreign at the time. Apple created the idea, and Windows later stole it. We have Miyamoto's second advice coming up, but be like Mario, smash that like button to help share this video out to more people. Miyamoto's second tip is design your first level last. Now you might think this has no context for anyone outside of video games. You'd be wrong. If you reframe this statement, your customers' interactions with your work should be well thought out. But why? Well, you want them to have the best experience possible. If your user picks up your app, is frustrated in the first 15 seconds, good luck getting them into your shopping cart and purchasing anything on your website. I don't know how many apps I've installed, used for less than a minute, then trashed. I didn't want them on my phone. We act the same way with YouTube videos. If something doesn't catch our attention in 30 seconds, we're off on the sidebar, scrolling to something else. Committing to Netflix for a full video is almost impossible unless the thumbnail and the first 10 seconds of the trailer get me hooked. Even then, I'm scrolling on my phone 5 minutes into the movie. Using Miyamoto's advice, we should be designing anything we do with the end user in mind. How do we deliver the best satisfaction in business? If we act the opposite way, we'll spend very little time thinking about our customer's experience. But it needs to be thought through. How can you actually deliver value to your customers if you don't know what experience you're bringing them? You can have all the best ideas in business, but if your customer doesn't like the way they're being treated, that's the end of the journey. Through learning about your customer, you'll always get a better idea of what excites them or makes them happy. We're usually poor judges of what we want. You have to remember what gets people excited and what makes them most happy. We're usually poor judges of what we want. You don't really understand it until you experience it, and then you realize that wasn't what you wanted to begin with. In order to make this advice valuable, you have to think like a customer, not like the creator. You have to separate yourself from your work and look through the eyes of someone consuming it. It's hard to do, but it'll make your work better. If you found this valuable, go check out what John Carmack thought were the best traits for a software engineer. Hint, it wasn't the ability to write code.